Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Airplane Arms Navigating Back to School. Today we're going to talk about special education and what the families with special education students can expect when they return to school in the fall. My name is Lisa Miller. I'm a communications specialist with the Anchorage School District, and I'm joined today with Cindy Anderson, our Senior Director of Special Education. Hi, Cindy. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
So, a lot has changed since March when we went into that hunker down status and we unexpectedly did not return from spring break. So I wanted to give you the chance to kind of give an overview of what families can expect. What will their special education students be returning to in the fall now that we're confirmed at that high risk level for the start date?
Well, we're currently in red, so we'll be starting with e-learning. And we have been working all summer to build Canvas courses for all of our students, including general education students. So many of our special students with disabilities are in general ed classes. We also have resource classes and we have special programs classes. And we're building all of our courses in Canvas. And we are building them in a much more robust way, and we have time to build them in a much better way for instruction and support, both for the students and for parents and families.
Yeah, and we heard from a lot of parents who said, like, e-learning doesn't work for my special needs students. I had a parent tell me, my student is very tactile, a tactile learner, and she kind of compared it to going to the gym versus running on your own on the trails. Some people really need that structure of the building to move them along. So what are some of the tools that we'll give to families to help them through that e-learning experience?
Well, I think one of the points we have to make is for students with disabilities, they all have a case manager and a lot of times a team working together. And when things aren't working within the system or working within the instruction, that's when you reach out to your team and you talk about what those options are. And so, for example, when you have a student that's very tactile, it might be talking with your case manager about what can you use at home to teach in a tactile way, to support in a tactile way. If it's a child with social skills, how do we use Zoom to build some social skills lessons and supports that way, and then give some tools to families to continue that social environment in the home and teach some of those social skills. So it really is working on an individual basis with the team to figure out what the needs are and how to meet those.
Yeah, so it's kind of like a group effort between the parent, the case manager to help really coach and the teacher to help the student through the e-learning process. So during this high-risk level, some parents have said that they just need their students to continue in a classroom setting. What are your thoughts on that compared to what you just said about the working with the case manager to work through e-learning?
Well, at the high-risk level, we're following what the municipality and state guidelines are and protecting students, families, and staff. And to say one group would come in and another not come in would be really difficult. The other thing is the classroom would never look like what the student had been used to. It might be using plexiglass to teach behind. It might be that the students and teacher would be, they'd have to wear their masks or additional PPE, gowns and things like that. It wouldn't be groups of students to work on social skills. It might be one-on-one, but really we're going to follow those guidelines that are set by the municipality and state, because I really feel, and I think the district and municipality feel, we've got to protect our families, we've got to protect our staff, and so we're going to do the best we can in a robust way with the e-learning. And again, we're going to go back to our case managers to help us do that in an effective way.
Yeah. And as far as parents, parents want to know what can they do. I think that a lot of the parents just want to make the best possible environment for their students. You mentioned new opportunities to coach parents through. Can they expect invites to Zoom meetings on that type of thing? Or how will that look to help the parent feel best prepared?
Well, the district is really building a parent training portal.
Okay.
And special ed will be doing the same. I think parents need to understand also what's available. We have a group of staff that are ready to help with behavioral support. So if students are really having behavior issues at home, we can get staff involved in IEP meetings or in meetings to support behavior plans that parents can implement at home and support our students. So we have quite an expanse of services we can really look at. Our speech language pathologists, our OT, our occupational therapists Our physical therapists can provide services through teletherapy or through Zoom sessions, and we can work with parents as well with speech, occupational therapy, and physical therapy needs through this e-learning, and teaching parents how to work at home. Eventually, when we get back in school, parents can continue that support and service at home, and we can be doing that at school. I expect we'll see significant progress when we're both families and school staff are working together on those goals and objectives.
And Cindy, what will, like occupational therapy, that type of thing, how will that be implemented through e-learning?
So it would be through Zoom sessions with the parent and the student, and it would be the occupational therapy or therapist or physical therapist demonstrating through Zoom, and the parent working with the student directly. But there may be some videos that we can provide, some other ways that we can provide the services, but it will be the parent supporting the student directly.
Yeah. So it sounds like really like a check-in point where the parents get instruction and some interaction, direct interaction, to give them like the next steps to help their child along.
Right. And some of our students who have physical therapy or occupational therapy are middle school and high school, and it may just be working directly with the student, giving the student direction, and then watching them do that over Zoom and making sure they're doing it correctly, stepping up on a step or holding a pencil or doing some of those things correctly. So we can work directly with students, but we can also work with the parent to work with the student.
And what about those students that just aren't making the progress? What's the plan to address and help move those students along?
Well, first, we want to try to make as many adjustments as we can to make sure we're making progress during this time. But if we're not, we're going to sit down and have a conversation with families as we get back into school about what we need to do to really enhance the learning, increase the learning, so that we can regain those lost skills. That may be looking at expanding summer options. It may be looking at some opportunities after school, those kinds of things that we can do within the district that will really help students expand and regain the skills they've lost through this whole COVID situation.
So it sounds like they'll have the coach, that case manager to check in with, talk about what's working, what's not working. And really, just like everything, we're taking this one day at a time. It's not even week by week. It's really day by day, and just making the best choices we can in each day to move things forward.
Absolutely. Things have changed even just recently. And so we just have to be prepared, and we have to ask for grace. And then we have to be flexible and figure things out and communicate effectively about what the needs are and how we can make adjustments to really support students' growth.
Cindy, thank you so much for joining us today. I really appreciate your time and your insight into what the start of the fall school year will look like for the special education program. Thanks for joining us, and thank you for tuning in. We'll continue these videos throughout the start of the school year. So please feel free to submit any additional questions you have. We'll link to that Google form where you can submit questions. Thank you.